early pride.
If if you're not God's in His spirit, with God in His spirit, sure, he's going to get your soul. But what I'm saying is, He's more out for our soul, our mind. To kill that first.
Well, if you look in Genesis 3, when it says, "In the day you eat thereof, you shall surely die."
Right.
Now, the question would be, when Eve ate the fruit and Adam ate the fruit, they didn't die that day. But according to the Bible, a day is 1,000 years with the Lord. And it's interesting to point out that nobody in the Bible, even Methuselah, who was the oldest man on earth, nobody made it to 1,000 years. Everybody, there are several guys that made it to 970 some odd years. Nobody made it to a full day, because the Bible says, in the day, or the 1,000-year period in which you eat the fruit thereof, you will surely die. Meaning physical death might not come instantaneously. What came instantaneously that same day was spiritual death.
That's my point. But they start dying. The bodies start dying
immediately.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And their spirit, their eternal soul was dead at that moment.
It was condemned. Yes.
So, so the Bible again has proven itself to be true. And again, Satan is after what? He's after our bodies, but he's also, more importantly, after our souls. So, any other questions from anybody?
Who do you think behind the potato famine?
Oh, I don't know. Don't know.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
Stonehenge.
Oh, Stonehenge. Yeah. Stonehenge was a druid altar. They would do human sacrifice. Mike, you out of here?
No.
Oh. Stonehenge, some of you have seen the big stone pillars in England.
Yeah.
It's one of the 7 wonders of the world, right? The pyramids and stuff. And nobody knows, who built this stuff? It was built, I believe, by the demonic entities who had taken on human flesh, called the Nephilim. Because these stones are so large, it would be very difficult for human beings, even lots of them, to be able to place them. And more interestingly, they are set up exactly mathematically aligned to certain stars, including the star Sirius, which is the dog star, which is a symbol of Satan himself. Sirius, the dog star, is a pseudonym for Satan, the same way the planet Saturn is a pseudonym for Satan. And Stonehenge is aligned to the stars, mathematically precise, so that somebody with super advanced mathematical knowledge, as well as super advanced power and strength, to be able to place the stones in exactly the right way, so that on certain holy spiritual days, and by the way, I didn't mention, but this day, October 31st, is the high holy day in Satanism, Wicca, witchcraft, the New Age. Every occult religion takes tonight as the supreme holy day. And I can assure you, somewhere in Miami-Dade County, somewhere in the state of Florida, somewhere in the United States of America, and throughout Europe and overseas, human sacrifices are going on. You may not hear about it today or tomorrow on the front page of Miami Herald. You're going to find, there's some unsolved murder, some poor kid is going to disappear at the mall, and they're never going to find that person's body, because after they do some horrific, terrible sacrifice to them, they're going to put their body into a paper or a wood chipper and destroy the body. The Satanists, having prosecuted a kid who was a teenage Satanist and having him talk to me face to face and tell me that he had to kill this guy because his spirit guide appeared to him and said, that guy's going after your girlfriend. He used to date her, and you know what you have to do. He said, I didn't really want to kill the guy, but, Candelo, my spirit guide, he told me I had to do it. And then he told me how to get rid of the body. So this kid, who was not insane, said that his spirit guide, and he drew pictures of him. I introduced him to trial. One of the scariest things I ever saw is that he drew pictures of the demon spirit. Didn't have legs. He sort of had like a ghost like Casper, the ghost lower part of the body, but the top of his body, he had a face, and he wore a large brim sort of fedora type hat. And he said, chop the body up, put it in the bathtub, and put acid in there and cook it. And then eat parts of the body and you'll get superpowers. And that for sure is throughout Satanism, throughout black magic, the need to consume human blood and human flesh is an absolute necessity. For people that have come to Christ from out of the deep occult, black magicians and Satanists, every one of them that I've read an account of has said that at some point they were either consuming human blood or eating human flesh, because the demons that live inside of them gain more power, and they get more power. They become super wizards. Why or how? By engaging in these crazy sex rituals, but most importantly, by consuming human blood and consuming human flesh. And this one guy, Bill Schnoebelen, he has written a couple of books, and I was just reading one this week, and he was saying that his craving for human blood replaced what would be normally a male's craving for sexual activity. He lost his sex drive. He was married, by the way. He lost his sex drive, and instead he craved the taste and the feeling of blood, and he said he couldn't eat anymore. You know, I mean, so the question is, do vampires exist? They may not turn into bats and fly around like Dracula on TV, but there are people, guaranteed, who will dwell in cemeteries and who will drink human blood and will gain a super amount of occultic power as a result of it. You had a comment there?
How did they choose the people to do?
Well, it kind of depends. It depends on the circumstance. If the question was how do they, and I'm not sure exactly which they she's talking about, how do they choose what people to eat? Depends on who you're talking about. A Satanist who wants to do something on Halloween night like they're going to be doing, they're going to either take some kid from the mall, or what they're doing, which is more insidious, if you're a generational Satanist, meaning you've been involved in the Satanic covenant for generations. Your parents are in it, your grandparents were in it, their parents were in it. They will have women who are part of the coven who are breeders. They'll get pregnant, have babies. They've got midwives as part of their little satanic coven. They have a baby right in some rich guy's house. No record of it whatsoever, no birth certificate. And that child will be used as a sacrifice at the next high holiday, particularly on Halloween. So that's one way they do it, is they breed children for the very purpose of making them human sacrifice. They kidnap kids. What they also will do is go to very impoverished people, like poor people, offer them a lot of money, and say, hey, if you let us adopt your kid, we'll make you rich and whatever. And okay, I'm on crack, I don't have a husband. Here, you can have my kid. Give me $1,000 or $5,000. And whatever happens to that kid, nobody knows. These are the kids that disappear. These are the missing children on the milk cartons. When you look at the milk carton, Sandy's been disappeared in 1979. Nobody ever saw her again. Nobody was ever recovered. Most of those kids, I would submit to you, are a part of a satanic blood ritual sacrifice. And that body was, and this guy who was in Satanism became a Christian. Now he's a powerful evangelist. He said, Satanists at one, they were very efficient with the human body. They didn't waste anything. Each part of the body was chopped up and used either for a ceremony or was consumed. Very little was left over after the Satanists get done with the body. And one of the insidious things they said was that for a ritual sacrifice to be very powerful, and this is what some people believe goes on at Bohemian Grove in Northern California every July, when the world leaders come together and they reenact a child sacrifice before a giant statue of Moloch. And some people say that they don't just reenact it, they actually do it. But what the goal is to get preferably a female over a male, preferably a virgin over someone who's sexually active, and preferably a smaller child who, because they believe when you reach puberty, then you lose some of your purity. If you kill a pure and innocent child, it has a lot more occultic power than killing some kid, some girl who's a prostitute on the street who's addicted to crack and she gets kidnapped. They kill those people too. But if you get a little girl, say like a 9, 10, 11-year-old girl, and she's pure and innocent, what you do is you kill her because her blood is more pure. She's not tainted by sin. Why? Because Satan is a monster, and he wants to pervert. And when he went to Eve was the most innocent, pure girl in the world. And when he turned her, that was the most cosmic experience ever. And so, what they do, they don't just kill you. They torture you first, because when you're being tortured, if you're terrified, which is why is Halloween, scaring people, such a big part of Halloween? Go to the haunted house and get people to get scary, because fear releases a psychic energy that the demons feed off of. So when they kill someone, they don't just kill them and then drink their blood and eat their flesh. What they do is torture them slowly. That's what Wicker Man was about. You don't die instantaneously. They could have just chopped his head off and you'd have died instantaneously. So slit the throat and you could have ritually killed them and they would be dead within 30 seconds if you slit the carotid artery. No, they burn you to death slowly, or they take you to Stonehenge or out into the woods and they lay you out on a table and they cut you open and they pull your organs out. Why? Because the more you hurt, the more you suffer, the more endorphins you release into the bloodstream. So when they drink the blood, it's spiked with the body's natural adrenaline and painkillers. And the Satanists say you get a much bigger rush by drinking the blood of someone who was terrorized before they died. And so it's almost, they say it's almost like, you know, I've read some Satanist accounts who became Christians. They say it's more addictive than heroin to drink the blood of a sacrificed person who was terrorized because of the biochemical release into the bloodstream. So that's how they do the killing. Any other questions?
If you play poker, is that bad?
Poker? I would say, yeah, gambling and games of chance, you know, that's something that you got to decide on your own. But, you know, it's the principle. You know that if you're opening the door to something, it can lead to something else. Smoking marijuana doesn't make you a crackhead overnight, but it certainly opens the door to get further on down the road. You dabble in reading horoscopes, or you walk up to somebody on Lincoln Road, like I did once, and somebody starts telling, you know what, I can see this, and this, and they're like, oh my gosh, he really knew what was going on. And you take the little business card and you go to Sister Mary's tarot card reading. The more you get involved, we didn't even get a chance to talk about Ouija boards, but you know, there are even witches who have said that the Ouija board is the most dangerous implement in all of black magic. Even witches have enough sense to have nothing to do with the Ouija board because it opens doors to the demon world, and they have a right to come through that board into whatever it is you're living in, a house, an apartment, wherever you are. Witches won't play around with the Ouija board, but we buy it at the toy store, Parker Brothers, and all of that. They sell the Ouija board to kids. I had one as a kid. My parents bought us one as a kid because they were ignorant. So the goal is not to be ignorant and to you know, become aware, and maybe we can tell our friends, and maybe we can, when we have kids one day, we'll know enough not to let our kids become involved in that. But look at the school system. It's mandatory. I got a friend who's the head of security in my building. He says he doesn't let his kids go to school on Halloween. Why? Because they have to participate in candy and whatever. He says, I don't want my kid taking candy from anybody because that is part. He's a born-again Christian. He's like, that's participating in a ceremony dedicated to demons. So it is fellowshipping with demons. He doesn't let his kids go to school, and he gets an excused absence. So if that guy is doing it, and he's not a theologian, he's just like the chief of security, is that something that all of us should be doing if we're all in Christ? Puritans, they didn't play around. They wouldn't allow Halloween to be celebrated in the United States from 1776 to 1900. There was no Halloween here because the Puritans, who were biblical Christians, said that's devil worship, and we're not going to have that here. It wasn't until the Catholic Church got a stronghold here in the United States and brought in their paganized form of Christianity, which is not Christianity at all. It's just paganism disguised as Christianity to make it more palatable. So with that,
we got to spread. Nice work. Nice work. That's great, brother. Thank you, really good, man.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for coming out, man. I appreciate you guys sitting out here. I hope you guys didn't get too cold.
It's quite warm.
Well, you got the little blankets. It's kind of like we almost went camping together. Man. I feel like we were out in the woods camping together.
I'd rather not.
You don't do
camping.
camping.
You made it, Katarina, about Eve, though. That's a point that not too many people catch. Very good. And thank you for coming. I'm so glad you could have been in like one of your little Halloween parties. Like, dang, my girls are hanging out, and he's making me feel bad about it. But I'm glad you guys came, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah? I'm going out the park, Herb.
Yeah,
Nice work, brother.
Thanks, man. Thanks.